Previously, in the last chapter, Selena was a global actress famous for her beauty and acting skills. She received countless awards, and her magnetic personality were also a huge part of her appeal. People couldn't help but be drawn to her. However, one day, a huge accident changed her life when she was shooting a scene. Due to the rough winds, her safety harness broke and Selena fell off the cliff. Afterwards, she was transported into the middle of a snowy forest, where she was confused what happened, since it's different from where she fell. While Selena was still in a daze, a monster came out of nowhere and attacked her all of a sudden. Selena tried to run, but the monster caught up to her, and she can only wait for her end. Just as the monster was about to take Selena's life, it was dealt a fatal blow and died. Selena, who was covered in blood, gazed upon the person in front of her who saved her life. The man was Duke Kalcion of the Lenbird Kingdom, the Northern Duke. Then, Selena tried to convince Duke Kalcion to take her from the dangerous place. The Duke told Selena that this is another world which she is transported to, and if she wants to be saved she must prove her usefulness. Continuing the story, Selena thought that Kalcion was really a cold and heartless Duke. Of course, she didn't show her thoughts and took Kalcion's deal since she didn't have any choice. Selena rushed to promote herself being useful. It was like the moment when she had to do her best to appeal to the public. She has to survive and get out of this dangerous place first. However, Kalcion seemed unconvinced. Her charm might not be useful in this world, but if he left her like this, she would not be able to survive alone in this monstrous place. Selena proposed frankly that she is good at acting. To become a world-class top actress, there was no skill that she did not learn. Somehow, Kalcion was interested and told her to act. Selena never thought the Duke would be interested in acting. Good for her. It was an opportunity to increase the chances of her living. In the first place, Selena had no other choice but to do as he says. Kalcion folded his arms and stared at Selena with serious eyes, telling her to act like a villainess. Selena expected a further explanation, but the Duke kept quiet. Only his eyes threatened her to choose between acting or dying here. Selena walked calmly, without panicking. In programs, a situational play can be given as a test. Her desperate expression, which she had just built, disappeared in an instant, with his mouth and his eyes wide open. Kalcion turned his head sharply.
Who are you to order me around? I will not listen to you just because you saved me.
Kalcion was caught off guard, but Selena continued her act. Something pricked her stomach. The question was whether Kalcion would accept it with a smile. Fortunately, Kalcion was not disappointed. Now that Selena's heart regained its original size, her mouth wasn't as stiff as it was earlier. Selena expressed a more menacing look, befitting to an antagonist role. Selena was quite anxious if Kalcion would accept it. Suddenly, Selena heard Kalcion's approval and sighs in relief. Selena rejoices at the thought that her acting skills would still be useful in another world, and even saved her life. Kalcion went straight to the point and told Selena that, if she can act as a villainess to him, then she will do fine for the role of pretending to be his lover. Of course, she will be facing countless death threats. Selena was dumbfounded and kept her mouth shut. She did not know where to begin with. Not a big deal. Pretending to be his lover, his girlfriend. No, the threat of murder was the biggest problem. She is already struggling to live right now, and she will be tossed into greater danger, even if she is saved today. But Selena thought that something doesn't add up. Why did it have to be about acting? And why would he offer this kind of job only to her? After connecting the dots, Selena concluded that he must have enemies and doesn't trust anyone. Selena told Kalcion what will she get in return for this job. No matter how scared you are, no matter how bad your position is, don't work for free. This was one of the mottos of Selena's life. But Kalcion only told her that it would be the price of her life. Was this a joke of the Northern Duke, or was he serious? Selena's face turned pale. Selena tried to convince Kalcion that she should be paid worth her loyalty and cooperation. Kalcion stated that Selena will enjoy the luxury of residing in a castle, where she will be provided with anything she desires, and attended to by maids for all her needs. Selena sighs in relief, and Kalcion continued, I hope that she may be able to return back to where she lived. Kalcion's last remuneration was a surprise to Selena. She had never thought it was possible. Selena's heart was pounding. The Lenbird territory was located at the north, but at the further north, it was inhabited by beasts. Kalcion added that it is located in a dangerous place, filled with monsters, and only the great sorcerer in the past managed to cross over the dimension. Obviously, it was a motivation that Selena couldn't ignore. She had no work, no memories, no friends, no family. Nothing here, but this gives her hope. Even if the dimensional entrance exists in the land of the monsters, it's her only way. Selena happily agreed with the contract made by Duke Kalcion. Despite the risks, Kalcion smiles at Selena's agreement. This was a two-man operation, a rare situation in which he went into the operation by himself. They came down the mountain and arrived at the city walls. A group of knights, who were waiting in front of the huge wall, froze and hurried up to Duke Kalcion, who was approaching. Duke Kalcion went to the mountain alone, but this time he came back with another person. Kalcion made up an excuse. The knights widened their eyes when they noticed Kalcion holding a short woman. The knights were confused, since the walls that were built to prevent the beasts of the mountain range were not enough for humans to jump over. One knight offered to take Selena away from Kalcion's hold, but Kalcion nervously refused. The gray-haired knight, who was called Dion, stared at Kalcion with his enlarged eyes. It's to be expected. Duke Kalcion was always seen as a decisive and heartless duke by others, was not easily be flustered. Before they went back, Selena wanted to set up a plan beforehand for this operation. Selena always wanted to be perfect. Getting into the character was the basic thing she could master. So she told Kalcion that she needs to have a background story. By the mention of work, Selena became excited that she forgot Kalcion's cruelty. Kalcion didn't thought of that, so that people will not be suspicious. By Selena's otherworlder origin, she concocted a story that Kalcion saved her from danger and fell in love with her beauty. At first sight, Selena managed to hint the crowd her intentions. Selena needed to intervene so that Kalcion will be able to connect things and reason out, because his arm was wrapped around Selena, and the cloak was mainly to protect her from cold and prevent others from discovering her weird outfit. A few hours ago, Selena scratched her chin and glanced at Kalcion's hard face. Kalcion stared back at her without budging. As it turns out, Selena suggested that Kalcion should look at her lovingly, since they need to practice to act as lovers. But Kalcion seems to be so dense. A duke who is dense, emotionless and terrifying just by smiling. That's what others see Kalcion. He attempted expressing other types of feelings dozens of times, but repeatedly failed. Kalcion has never faced something like this before, and felt tired compared to just hunting alone. They need to create a setting that they are madly in love at each other, in order to deceive other people. Kalcion, who has contemplating, heard Selena changing her strategy. Selena declared that she will seduce Kalcion, instead of relying on his stiff expressions. Of course, it's just a pretend seduction so that Kalcion will be able to get into his role. The woman went to the forest to seduce the duke, and then he accepted him, without thinking about it twice because she was stuck to him like a leech. That's what the scenario is all about. And Kalcion have no choice but to agree. Selena added in that Kalcion should be in love at first sight, to add more impact to the story, and lessen the suspicions more. Selena also suggested that Kalcion should just agree to anything, what she might say, so that she will lead the flow of conversations, and Kalcion will just accept it. Since he is in love with her, as what others will see, you will give them everything and agree to anything. That's love that they have to portray. Kalcion is clueless of what Selena is saying, clearly inexperienced about love. Love is a crazy thing. You have to make it look crazy, so that the people can understand that it is true love. This woman is mine. Selena wanted to instill that feeling to Kalcion, but he remains oblivious. Selena agonized again and again, since Kalcion can't recognize feelings and thinks of it literally. After a few more trials and errors, it eventually came down to a very mild taste. By Selena's standards, it was also a sentence that could be said often. However, it might not be easy for him to say it out loud. Selena almost cursed Kalcion. She was enduring as much as she could. She would have exploded if her life was not at stake. Selena could pull out any act that she had never done before. Kalcion is the very opposite. They practiced a few hours more before going back. Kalcion remained frozen stiff even though the time had finally come for the results of their special training to show. Selena began whispering coded language to persuade Kalcion. The knight noticed and thought it was rude. But before he could say anything further, Kalcion interrupted and readied himself. Selena can only hope for the best.
I'll carry her.
At last, Kalcion managed to say that one sentence. Their duke went to hunt and came back with a stranger. For the first time, he always felt uncomfortable with sitting face to face with a woman. But today was different. But was he just going to keep escorting the lady? Besides that, Diane had never seen this possessiveness of the duke. Selena praised Kalcion for that small achievement. The tittle-tattle also spread through the other knights. But Kalcion can only stay silent. Although the act was terrible, it worked, regardless. He had succeeded in shocking people. However, there were still many more things to be done by Kalcion. Even when Selena praised him, it did not seem to be much of a consolation to him. Although Selena expressed her admiration on the castle she will be living in, she proposed that they should finish their plan discussion. Selena asks on why she should act as a villainess, and Kalcion told her the story. Duke Kalcion's previous fiancé died, and she was known to be a tyrant. Selena apologized as she thought that she picked a sensitive topic. However, Kalcion only responded indifferently, though he is a bit angry that someone dared to assassinate his ex-fiancée in his very own castle. It was supposed to be a political marriage with a fixed partner with no love involved, but only because many coveted the gold mines in his territory. So Kalcion just selected the best baroness as an option. Unfortunately, she died. A young, handsome northern duke and a bunch of gold. They had to try their best at least once and get married to him. But it seems that some people, lurking in the shadows, have other plans, and decided to assassinate his fiancée. The investigation concluded it as suicide based on the evidences. But Kalcion knew it was not. Kalcion lived his whole life wielding his sword, and knows the wounds are disguised as suicide. Even so, the father of the baroness kept quiet and didn't question the results. Suddenly, one of the servants knocked on the door while they were still discussing. At that moment, Selena and Kalcion exchanged their glances, because they need to hide Selena's outfit in order to conceal her secret. Suddenly, an idea flashed over her mind, an opportunity. Selena smiled cunningly, as she thought she could make a good use of this situation. The maid was confused why there was no reply. The atmosphere inside the room, where there was a sense of crisis a while ago, had changed. Selena reassured Kalcion. Kalcion concentrated on Selena, who slowly rose from her seat after taking a deep breath. It's time to act. Right then, a very loud voice reverberated throughout the castle halls. It was Selena. Selena was screaming just enough for everyone outside the room to hear, like she was throwing a tantrum to Duke Kalcion, that she don't want the servants to serve her in taking a bath, while also implying the maids that they will take a bath together. Selena had begun her acting career like a performer in a theater. She was even capable of captivating an entire audience by herself. Although Kalcion knew it was just an act, he replied casually and played along. The servants outside the door were embarrassed, but they followed Kalcion's orders faithfully. Selena could hear them running away from the door. As soon as the sound of the footsteps faded away, Selena asked Kalcion where the bathroom is, so that she can take a bath alone. As Selena arrived to the bathroom and opened the door, she can only be amazed by how grand and spacious it is. Selena changed her clothes into a bathrobe to get ready. Selena asked Kalcion to rip her old clothes to completely get rid of the evidence. Kalcion glanced behind his back and turned around. When he saw Selena in her bathrobe, Selena knew he was not looking at her body romantically, but she thought turning back was cute. The garment ripped with a sound. All of a sudden, Kalcion's eyes grew as fierce as though they were aiming for a beast. He told Selena to keep quiet and his eyes turned towards the door connected to that corridor. Selena, too, followed him nervously. It seems that there was a spy. Selena did not hear anything, but she had no other choice but to believe Kalcion. Since Kalcion was here, she had nothing to be afraid about, and he didn't seem concerned. Selena asked Kalcion what he usually do with it, and Kalcion replied indifferently with killing them. Selena was used to it now, but she was reluctant to witness any more deaths. Selena proposed to rather use the spy to spread more rumors, because the spy is likely to be one of the servants in the castle. Kalcion agreed with Selena's opinion, but he neatly acknowledged his atrocious acting skills. Selena frowned, pushing his chest. Kalcion was surprised, but Selena was calm. She had done this act once or twice. Selena replied in a professional manner. While there was a spy, she had to finish setting up the situation quickly before getting back. Kalcion was bewildered. A cold-blooded northern duke. That title became nothing for a moment, as he was grabbed down by Selena and go along with her act again. The beginning was intense enough to catch everyone's attention. Outside the door, Selena could feel a sudden surprise. Even Kalcion was surprised. The play had already begun. Selena entered a contract with Duke Kalcion in order to catch the culprit and return to her original world. But will she be able to succeed in deceiving everyone and evade the threats of the enemies?
That's all, folks. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment down below, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I will be posting more videos about good reads you may like, so stay tuned. Thanks for watching. See you soon.